Hello, welcome to the katana exploitation video. Now, some while ago I made a video about katanas and I used some music in it which I don't own the copyright to, so I couldn't monetize it, so that video earns me no money at all. And annoyingly, I can spend months making a terrific video with loads of special effects and story and script and actors and costumes and so forth, and hardly anyone watches it. But if I spend a few minutes talking to a camera about either ninjas or katanas, then loads of people watch that video. So, one, there's no justice, and two, here's a video about katanas. So, a while ago, I made a video making the point, to which I stick, that katanas really didn't vary all that much. Now, a while ago, I was very lucky, a katana collector came and visited me at my home, and he lined up his collection against the wall. And the first thing, he invited me to look at them and comment, and the first thing I saw was how amazingly similar they were. The one on my far right was used during World War II and was made, I think, in the 1930s, and they went right the way back to 13th, 12th century, something like that, and with quite a representative sample of everything in between. Wow! They were amazingly similar. Yes, in detail, that one's got dragons on and that one's got lotus flowers on and so forth, and the colours were different. But in overall form, they're pretty much all the same. The length varied very little. I think the longest was about that much longer than the shortest. They didn't all have just the one peg holding the blade on. Some of them had two, but by and large, just the one peg. The only significant difference in form that I could see as they were lined up there was that some of them had a handle that went into the blade in a continuous line, whereas others, where the handle met the blade at the crossguard, the tsuba, there was a little sort of kink, a little change of direction, a little break of slope. But even that was only slight. Apart from that, I really couldn't tell the difference by looking at them. But I was very lucky, and he allowed me to take them out of their scabbards and swing them around. And I discovered something very interesting. In terms of balance, they varied about as much as it's possible for them to vary. Some of them were dirty, great cleavers. They were really tip heavy. It was just I just felt I was holding a big iron bar. And others, they were quite actually light and whippy and quite definitely weighted towards the hilt. So those two, at the extremes, they would have been used, I would have thought, quite differently. Now, one reason you might want a very light katana is perhaps that you're going to have to carry it around all the time. And if you're carrying a sword around all the time, day to day, you don't really see yourself as a warrior. You're of samurai rank, perhaps, but you spend most of your time doing administrative duties, but you carry the sword around all the time. So having a really clunky, heavy sword might be a bit of a pain. So you might want a light, whippy sword, which will cut someone who's not wearing armour quite happily. Whereas if you had a battle in the offing, you might say, I'm going to wear my other katana today, the one that I'm not particularly expert with, but it's a hulking, great, hefty cleaver, and it'll do someone a lot of damage, even if he is wearing lots of armour and I can't cut through it, but just by sheer smashing force. So that's one reason that perhaps the balance varied so much, but also fashion and style and the way they were used over the centuries could have varied. Of course, between people and between regions, there would have been variations as well. But you can imagine that for a while, everyone's using katanas this way these days. And no, we don't use katanas like that anymore. No, the in technique is this sort of technique, which requires a different sort of katana. So there you go. They do look all incredibly similar. And yeah, I mean, they've all got, they are basically the same. They're all a sharpened iron bar, but they did vary in balance a surprising amount.